Woke nation, what's going on, my woke people? Today we talk about ego. Let's get right to it. I'm smart. I'm better than you. I'm not good at maths. Me? Nah, I'll never do that. Who, I? Okay, so what am I talking about? I'm talking about the ego. Usually when we address this three-letter word, the ego, we're talking about I, you, me, like I, who you think you are, right? And one thing about the ego is that it's very, very difficult to spot because it hides behind a person's opinions that appears to be very, very true, okay? So I have a problem with certain types of ego. I don't believe that all ego is bad, right? I don't believe that all ego is bad, and I don't believe that you should totally remove your ego. Not at all. I'll elaborate on that later, right? But I've been in situations and circumstances where I've seen it. It's even happened to me where we allow our egos to basically ruin our relationships. We allow our egos to mess up our money, and we allow our egos to even stop pursuing what we love because of who we think we are. So here's how funny the ego is, right? So let's say one day you just happen to meet someone, you just met this person, or you've known this person for a long while, okay? So now once this person starts acting timid towards you, like timid, the person's shy, or the person is more of a introvert than an extrovert, you actually want that person to become an extrovert. You're like, oh, why is this person so fragile and shy and timid? You want that person to be extrovert, okay? Now, once you meet a person that's actually extrovert, out there, outgoing, loud, you're like, why is this person so loud? Like, what's wrong with you, bro? Like, what's going on? Now, you want that person to go from being loud and outgoing to quiet, okay? Now, if that sounds familiar, then you have an ego problem, my friend, because the ego basically tells you or plays a role in you that you should always be in control of everything. When you feel like you should always be in control of everything, that's when you have an ego problem, okay? There's certain people that would even lie, would go to the extent of lying than to be wrong. They don't like to be wrong. That's also part of your ego, okay? Now, when I realized, now this is a very hard thing to do. A hard thing to do is to, first, is to spot that you have an ego problem. Second, is to spot that you want to stop it, or to spot that this is actually ruining certain situations in your life, or this is making your life more difficult than it can be, right? So when I realized, my experience was that I realized I had an ego problem because I never liked being wrong. I was super competitive, which I still am, but I wasn't being sports-like in certain situations. That's how competitive I was. And I realized, hold on, yeah, I can, whatever, I can win at this, but I don't have to keep going on or rubbing it in people's faces, etc. Right? Now, for a person to spot that they have an ego problem, the problem is 50% fixed already, okay? Now, most people, they don't even want to spot this. They don't even want to think about that they have an ego problem. That's how much they sold into their ego. But you got to realize, the ego, like I said before, it's not all bad, right? I think the ego should be, once spotted, you should be able to control it. You should be, now you should know where all of this and that is coming from, right? It's more cultivated than to remove. So you can cultivate your ego, control it, rather than remove the whole thing, okay? Now, for example, let's say maybe there's someone that you know right now and you don't want to talk to them, or you're not on talking terms with them because of something so small, or you had a little argument. It's bullshit, man. Seriously. What are you trying to prove? That's what I ask myself. What am I trying to prove, and who am I trying to prove myself to? 50% of curing your ego to be on your side, because like I said, you can get the ego to be on your side. To cure your ego to become on your side, you have to realize that, wait, we don't really, what are we, why are we fighting for? What are we trying to prove? What are you trying to prove to yourself in the first place, right? Because one day we will die, and 200 years from now, nobody cares. Everyone's in their grave. Who cares? Like, who cares, bro? If you got something to do, and if you got something that's more of a purpose in your life, something that's actually has a meaning, and you have clarity in doing this, and if you feel like your ego is coming up and sort of like interfering with this, man, you need to identify your ego and cut it out. Now, here's a type of ego that's the best ego to have. To realize that, okay, you know, I actually have an ego that I want to do well, or I am in the best, or I believe that I'm the best in my field. But that doesn't mean that my ego is big enough. Yeah. If I need help, I'm going to go ask for help. I can always learn, and there's always room for improvement. If you can control your ego like that, my friend, you're on the way. You're woke, baby. Now, ladies and gentlemen, my goal and my target, and I invite you to come on this journey with me, is I've realized there's an ego side of you which wants to control everything, which wants to like show people that you are this type of person because of the stories that you told yourself. And then there's the other side, which is your higher self. Your higher self doesn't need to control anything or anyone. Your higher self accepts people for who they are, situations for what they are, and your higher self always strives to be better, right? When you're on that path, oh my days, I believe there's so much less problems, right? There's less problems. There's less like little things that don't even matter that are stopping you. You're just on a road of you and wanting the better for everyone else, wanting the better for yourself. Now, to do that, like I said before, your ego, you must get it on your side, but realize there's always room for improvement. Come on, man. We are nothing really, okay? Like, we're no big deal. We come on this planet, we live our life, we may have children or not, right, then we may die, okay? So this story is actually keeping you from achieving your dreams, is keeping you from doing what you want to do. The ego is not actually just purely based on, oh, I'm this, I'm that, I'm the best, look at me. If you, let's say you want to go do something, let's say like a young man that wants to go approach a girl, right? But he doesn't feel like he's good enough to do it. That's an ego problem as well. You have an ego problem because there's a story that you told yourself. So the ego is always both sides. It's not just being cocky. It's also about being unsure about yourself as well. If you're insecure about yourself, unsure about yourself, you also have an ego problem because there's a story behind that ego that you told yourself a long time ago. And you may have not even told yourself about it, but it may have been the programming you received while you were growing up, right? So you need to realize that, okay, if you know you can do something or you want to do something, but then there's this story at the back of your head telling you, yeah, but you know, you remember you're not that type of guy. Who said double check the story? Crush the ego and become your higher self. And that's what we're going for, baby. Woke Nation. Thank you guys for listening. I'm out.